To explore more on this, I'm joined by current affairs commentator Einar Tangen in Beijing. So Einar, 70 years, how far has China's Navy come in that time, especially in just the last 5 to 10 years?
Well, Elaine, it's been quite a journey, but it's still not the most powerful Navy on Earth, which is by far the United States Navy. I mean, there's just a complete class difference. China's showing off new designs, new technology, but if you notice closely, it's mostly linked to its protecting trade routes and very regional. It's not a forward projection base. For instance, the U.S. carriers are nuclear powered, so are many of its other ships and submarines. This allows them to really go around the world and be very, very forward projecting. China does not have any nuclear powered carriers or submarines at this point.
Well, you know that President Xi has prioritized modernizing China's military. You said it's not the largest, but the Navy does have the second largest fleet in the world behind the United States. Could it one day have the largest?
Well, having the largest fleet does not necessarily mean you're the best fleet in terms of sheer numbers. I mean, the U.S. has 20 aircraft carriers that, as I said, are mostly nuclear powered. China is working on its second, and there's a third one on the that's being built. And these are not nuclear. These are just ways in which China can protect its trade. I think you go back to what Xi Jinping was quoting, that the waterways are connectors. They're not defensive positions. They're not moats. He's not trying to build a wall or create a castle. He's simply trying to make sure that the things like the Belt and Road and the trade, which is crucial to the world, is protected. You know, for instance, China has been very, very forward in terms of protecting anti-piracy around Somalia and these areas. This helps all international shipping. It's been involved in humanitarian efforts, and so far, no wars.
But despite all that, there are skeptics, we know, around the world. When they see this, they think they do have some concerns. What do you make of the foreign navies and the representatives taking part in the ceremonies and observing there in Qingdao? Is it opening up and saying, hey, take a look at what we have?
Well, I think it's smart on behalf of China's side. They're not trying to hide anything. Not that you can in these days of satellite imagery and things like this. But yeah, it's trying to send this message that it's open, inclusive, that this is not a military threat. This is simply upgrading capabilities in order to deal with what China is trying to do, which is protect its coastlines and also its trade routes. So cooperation is the key here, and that's why people were involved. All these different countries were involved. The one surprise was Pakistan was not able to show up. But I think there's some tensions there with India, who did send 2 of its newest frigates.
And a low-level delegation from the United States. Einar Tangen in Beijing, thank you so much for joining us.